And so, I think a lot of people would be surprised at the existence of a liberal gun club, right? There's certainly a stereotype about the kind of people who own guns in the United States, and
Sure.
there's a lot of polarization around the issue of guns in the United States, and liberals tend to find themselves on the side that wants to restrict gun ownership, and so that's obviously where you guys tend to differ often with your fellow liberals, right? In that sense, like you're politically aligned in a lot of other ways, but not on this particular issue. Is that right?
That's right. I mean, so one of the things we talk about in the club, and one of kind of the phrases we use, is every single civil right for every single person. We kind of think the liberal philosophy is that you have to protect all the civil rights, even the ones that you don't necessarily like. And for a lot of liberals, we think the Democratic Party's focus on the Second Amendment is just wrong. Although, to some extent, I understand it. If you're getting your data from one place and the data is bad, then your focus is going to be bad, right? So there's a lot of that. And so a lot of what we do is try to say, hey, look, we have the same concern. I mean, there's nobody who says, oh, yeah, we're totally fine with kids being hurt, or people committing suicide, or harms or violence in the communities, or whatever. That's not what we're saying, and really no one's saying that, right? And so we have a lot of problem with kind of the rhetoric that goes with that. But
Hmm.
but our response to that is these giving the benefit of the doubt, even if they were well-intentioned laws, they don't work. We know that these kind of restrictive, focused on the gun laws don't do anything. So our focus is, what's the actual problem, right? The actual problem isn't the million of gun owners in the United States that use guns every day, that use guns safely every day, right? And it's certainly not the people who properly and legally use guns in defensive situations. The problem is a very, very small subset of people. There's people with mental health issues. There's people with community issues. There's underlying societal problems that create violence in general in the United States. And our focus is, how do we look at those problems holistically? Because even if, poof, all of the guns disappeared tomorrow, you wouldn't solve those problems.
Mm-hmm.
We'd have another tool that replaced it, right? And so our focus is, how do we actually make life better so that the tool that's out there that primarily gets used responsibly is always used responsibly, or has more opportunity for that, and that being the focus.
Right. And I suppose in that way, you do share a lot of common ground with other liberal groups that want to address these sort of root cause issues, as you call them, with
Right.
Social programs and things of that nature, as opposed to gun bans. That sounds like that's how I understand what you guys are trying to do, at least in the political front, right?
Right. And so to that end, right, I mean, the political front of it is, we know, I mean, there's plenty of data, there's tons and tons of studies that talk about what laws work and what laws don't, right? I mean, in general, bans don't work. And obviously that's been a big discussion in the United States this week, right? But bans don't work for everything. And the one thing that we point to a lot is the war on drugs. I mean, that everyone knows that's been an unmitigated disaster, because you can't just stop the thing, you have to stop why it's happening. And so that's more our focus. But also our focus is, well, why do that? Like, why have that? Well, because it's in the Bill of Rights, and we don't want to see the Bill of Rights restricted. So because we don't want the other liberal social agendas to be restricted, right? And if you restrict the Bill of Rights, that's what happens.